Hello everyone, welcome to another episode on my YouTube channel. Today's video is all about competition in relationships. And I typically see this all the time where we get into the spot where we feel like we're competing with our partner or our ex-partner or our in-law in some way. And so I thought I'd just do a brief video on what happens when we get into that spot where we're competing with our partner instead of connecting, and how in relationships it's not about winning. So let's talk a little bit about how competition kind of comes out in different forms. So a few of the things that I have noticed, competition in relationships come out when we're in conflict with our spouse or partner in a romantic relationship, where we feel like we want to win the argument as opposed to listening to understand, connecting, finding compromise, working through. This is a time where we just want to be right. And you know how when we want to be right, that can be detrimental. There's a saying, you can be right or you can be in relationship with. And I think I always love that saying as just a reminder. If I'm going to the place of I've got to be right here, I've got to win this, I'm not winning in the relationship. I'm not connecting to the relationship. I'm just all about winning, putting myself in a one-up position, and all of that takes me away from the relationship. And so that's in a romantic partnership. Competition with exes, like if you're going through the process of divorce or if you've been divorced, competition with exes usually comes out when we're competing with the other, and really that's a detriment to the kids, to your kids. And so I think really kind of reminding yourself, it's not about competing with your ex, it's about how to create good co-parenting relationships to actually help your kids. The thing to remember is your kids love you and they love your ex. And the more you compete with one another, the more it hurts them, and it actually hurts your relationship with your children. So it's not a competition, it's how can we work together to help our children. And guys, I know that's not always easy. I know it's hard, especially because your ex knows how to push your buttons. But remind yourself, if you're getting wrapped in the competition, you're pulling away from your own relationship with your children, and to remind yourself that your kids love both of you. So it's not about competition, it's about how can I be the best parent I need to be for my children. So remind yourself of that. And then the other time that I really see competition play out in the context of family dynamics or relationships is when in your romantic partnership you feel like you're competing with the in-law. And what I want to say there, or maybe you feel like you're competing with your own parent, I don't know, but what I want to say there is, remember, if you're in an intimate relationship, married or long-term relationship, it's your relationship with your partner first, and then your extended family. And even Dr. Gottman talks about in one of his books, What Makes Love Last, a coalition with somebody else other than your partner is actually a betrayal. And I'm not saying it's easy. I know that, we want everyone to get along. I understand that that's not always the case. But if you're in this competition with an in-law, you're hurting the relationship with in-law, and a lot of times it can hurt your relationship with your romantic partner, because you're going to ask your romantic partner to take sides, and then your romantic partner, the one with the parent that maybe you're quote-unquote competing with, is going to feel like they're in the middle, which again, it hurts your relationship with your partner. So here's what we do when we feel like there's competition in the relationship. The first thing is, instead of looking at what the other person is doing to compete with you, or to compete with competing with you or competing with your spouse or whatever, instead of looking at the other, look at yourself. You have to ask yourself, what part do I play in this? And am I getting caught in the loop of the competition battle as opposed to kind of taking a step back and looking at what's going on. If you're competing with your partner and you're in that mindset of I'm in it to win it, take a step back and say, okay, wait a minute, what's my goal here? What's going on with me? Maybe you don't feel heard. Maybe, it could be a number of different things. So I think it's just when we are in the battle of competition, the first thing we have to do is stop and kind of step back. All right? The more we get caught in the battle, instead of looking at what's going on, we're losing focus. The other thing is, what are your boundaries? So know your part, and then what are your boundaries? So whatever the issue is that you feel like is in competition, you have to be clear on what your boundaries are. And remember, our boundaries are meant to protect us. According to Brene Brown, our boundaries are what's okay and what isn't okay for you. Our boundaries are a reminder of, if I can communicate and follow my boundaries clearly, I know I'm showing up more authentically without resentment or kind of just this like, either I'm better than you attitude, or I know whatever you say, you're just gonna do something to, upset me. So, it is what's my part and what are my boundaries and how am I communicating clearly what my boundaries are. The other thing is what's in your control and what's out of your control. I know I say this in most of my videos, right? It's like if I focus on what's in my control, it kind of goes back to what my part is and how am I communicating clearly. And then instead of getting caught up in the fight of competition, I'm really able to approach a situation that it's not about winning, guys. It is about creating healthy relationships. And then the last thing I'll say is, and it's a phrase from Dr. Gottman, and now he's talking about it in context of a romantic relationship. Yielding to win. Yielding to win is not one of you winning, it's your relationship is winning. And so if I'm noticing, for example, in my romantic partnership, if I'm noticing that I'm really wanting to be right, or really wanting to win an argument, if I take a step back, take a deep breath, look at what my part is in the conflict, ask myself, have I communicated what my boundaries are? And then, and also looked at what's in my control. How am I communicating in a way that creates connection instead of conflict or more competition? And then the last part is, maybe I need to take a step back, or maybe I need to yield. Not because what my perspective or perception isn't important, it's because I value the relationship more. Sometimes we have to let go, take a deep breath in order to connect back to. And if we keep holding on, if we keep competing, then we can't really see things clearly because we get into this mindset, I want to win or I'm right. And so that's in a romantic relationship. In our, again, if you have an ex and you guys share children together, it's the same thing. If I'm noticing that, yielding to win in that context is what's going on with the kids. It's not about competing with your ex for affection with your children. You are responsible for your own relationship with your children after divorce. And so it's, how am I nurturing my relationships with my children? How am I communicating to create a good co-parent relationship? And I know I could do a whole video, maybe I will, on communicating with exes. But I just, this is very brief. So just want to, remember, your children love both of you. So what's your relationship with them? And then when it comes to communicating with the ex, how can I communicate what's my part? What are my boundaries? What pieces are in my control? All right, that's really important. And then yielding to win in the context of maybe an in-law, it is looking at, it's again the same three things, as well as yielding to win is looking at, wait a minute, I've got to connect to my spouse or my partner. We've got to kind of reevaluate where we're at and how are we coming together and creating healthy boundaries as well. So it doesn't have to get into competition or secrecy or anything like that when it comes to extended family. All right, guys, so that is just a brief video on what competition in relationship looks like and what to do about it when you notice you're in that competition. Thanks for watching today. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for weekly updates all about relationships, and I hope you have a great day.